Everybody, David here, back with another live stream. Thank you guys all for being here. Really appreciate all the support. And we're going to get started shortly. We have our countdown clock going. We have about 6 minutes, 50 seconds before the show. So I just wanted to come on just a little early, make sure everything is working properly. You guys can see me, you guys can hear me. As you come in the room, if you could do me that favor of hitting that like button, I'd really appreciate it. It does help with that YouTube algorithm, and that is something that we're trying to break back into that YouTube algorithm. I guess it's always a challenge to get back. I've lost some views. If you guys watch some of my videos, I've lost some views as of late, and I knew that was going to happen just based on the changing of discussion, trying to add some new things. So that does happen. However, if you guys can hit the like button, it helps because it will get my videos out to more people, and then we can compensate by having more new people coming in and watching and saying, okay, this is not just about stimulus checks. He's talking about other things too. So I wanna tune in for that. So thank you guys all for being here, and we'll be getting started in about 5 minutes. I'm going to give some shout outs right now while we're waiting for everyone to get here. And it does take a little time for people to get in. So I get that. It takes time for YouTube to send out notifications. And so that's why I like to start a little bit earlier because it will allow for everyone to get here so we can start at the same time. They're not missing anything. Let's see. So I'm just going to move on down here and give some shout outs. Now, members, if you guys are members, I do give shout outs to all members. That's part of the membership. But if you have a question for me, anyone has a question for me, just put @TEC, and I'll make sure I look at those questions and answer them. Okay, DJ, thank you for being here, DJ. DJ was in here. He was like one of the first, or he was the first person. And it's funny, he's like, what's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. That's kind of what I say, I guess, now. I say the same thing. It's funny, once you get kind of your starting language, I guess, your dialogue, you continue to use that same one, or at least I do. It just makes it a lot easier because I don't have to think about that whole intro. And so once you get an intro, you should kind of stick with it. It just helps out in the long run when it comes down to your delivery and everything. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to move on down. And for members as well, you know what? I think I'm going to, well, I know I'm going to do a live stream right after this show. So it's going to be for members only. I haven't even set it up yet, so it will probably take me about 10 minutes after the live stream. Then we'll go on for members. And I just want to kind of touch base with you guys. This is not the official live stream for the month, but it is going to be a live stream just so I can kind of touch base with you guys and get some information so we can get this whole Discord thing going. I can actually start adding people to the Discord right then and then answering any questions that you guys might have. Now, like I said, for the membership, it's going to be just you guys ask me the questions, I answer. It doesn't have to be stimulus check related. It could be about a variety of different things. So that's the way we're going to do it. So after this show, we're going to be doing the member live stream, or one of them. Okay, and you guys are most likely going to get more than just one per month. Let me just put that out there. But I want to kind of, reach out to everyone, and it seems like this is the best way to do it. Plus, the members will be able to know about it later on, later down the road too. So we'll see how that goes. I just need to kind of figure everything out. I have never done just a members live stream, so it'll be the first one. All right, so let's give some shout outs before we get going here. Sandra Hunter, thank you for being here. Travel Jet Setter, thank you for being here. Ronnie, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member. Trina, thank you for being here. Deborah, what's going on, Deborah? Miss Happy Apple is in the building. Thank you very much, Miss Happy Apple. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for helping out, as well as Sherry. Sherry Crafts in the building. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping out. I appreciate the moderators. I could not do it without you guys, so I really appreciate that. Kathy Snook, thank you for being here. Christina, thank you for being here. And let's go ahead and move on down a little bit here. Okay. Wanda Payne, thank you for being here. Rose, thank you for being here. And some of these names I see that are familiar, especially if it's a familiar name, I'm definitely going to give you a shout out if I remember. Laura, I remember you. Thank you for being here. Wanda, I said Wanda already. Oops, sorry. Rose, thank you for being here. And let's move on down. All right. Keisha, thank you for being here. Jason Brown, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member. Keisha's also a member. If I don't say thank you for being a member, that doesn't mean I forgot. I just trying to do things a little bit faster. Sometimes I don't say it right off. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to go ahead. Ronnie Harmon, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member. And I think we've gone down to the bottom here. We had a couple of new members I saw just sign up. T-Bone, thank you for becoming a member. And Darlene, thank you for becoming a member. So thank you guys all for being here. We're almost getting ready to start the show. We have about a minute left. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're actually, you know what, we'll wait the minute. And then we'll say what we're going to talk about. You guys did see the title, so you do have a good idea of what we're going to discuss. But we're going to talk about some other things as well. Also, guys, if you could hit that like button, I'd appreciate it. We got about 500 people in the building and about 340 likes. So let's see if we can get up to 1,000 likes. That would assure us of having at least 1,000 people in the room. So if you guys can do that, I'd really appreciate it. And so things should be picking up this week. They should be. And I know I've said this before, and I apologize. I'm just basing this on the fact that we have Congress coming back this week. So right after Labor Day, Congress will be coming back. We should hope that they get some stuff done in this month. We know for a fact some things need to get done. So some things have timetables, so they'll be getting done this month, or at least being addressed this month. But we'll have to see if that stimulus package is part of it. And I'm hoping that is the case. And I think they're kind of getting down to the point where they realize, hey, it's crunch time. We have to do something. So now's the time to move. There's no, you can't wait any longer, especially if you want to do something before the election. So we'll go ahead and get started right now. We are down to zeros, and let's get started. What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another live stream. Thank you guys all for being here. And we have a few stories that we're going to talk about today. So the first story we're going to talk about is the unemployment rates. We will dive into that, talk a little bit about how that was calculated, and does it really mean anything at this point? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the skinny bill. So the skinny bill is what the Republican senators have been talking about. They're creating the skinny bill. It's going to be less than $1 trillion. So they're talking it's going to be about $500 billion, and it does not include stimulus checks. At least at the moment it doesn't. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. They're talking about unveiling that this coming week and voting on it this coming week. So we'll have to see where that goes. COVID-19 death projections. So this is something interesting. So they're putting out projections again, and this is, it's not, the numbers do not look good. And it's almost unbelievable, but we're going to talk about that because the numbers before, in my mind, were unbelievable. But unfortunately, we surpassed those numbers. So we're going to talk about what these projections could mean. And then we're going to talk about this $300 billion. So in a press conference, President Trump yesterday said that there's $300 billion sitting around, and we could use that money for stimulus checks. And then everybody's ears just popped up. Whoop, stimulus checks? Really? And so we're gonna talk about it. I'll show you the video. I'll show you the clips, the different clips, because he initially said it during his press conference in his, because he usually has this little speech that he does first, and then he'll answer questions. So he initially said it then, and then there were 2 follow-up questions. And so we'll play all of that so you guys can see exactly what was going on and what he was saying. But yeah, pretty interesting. This is something Oh man, every day there's something, right? Every day there's something, and I'll let you know how I feel about this. It's concerning. It's definitely concerning. There's some stuff that I think should have been said that wasn't, and that kind of makes me think, why wasn't it? And is this, I guess the question is the president giving us some clickbait, right? That's pretty much the way that I'm feeling about it, unfortunately. And I'll explain my reasons, but yeah, it's I don't know what's going on. And then also, we will be doing a live stream after this live stream. It's going to be a very informal live stream, but it's going to be for members only. Okay, so this is not the official live stream for the month, but I do want to come out and just do a live stream just because I want to touch bases with you guys and talk with you guys a little bit, try to find out more information so we can get this whole Discord, this private Discord set up. And so it'd probably be easier if I'm just talking with you guys during a live stream, because we can kind of go back and forth and you guys can give me the information that I need. All right, so we have Reagan. Reagan, thank you for becoming a member. Really appreciate that. Okay, so I think everything is good, so we can go ahead and get started with our first story. All right, guys, thank you guys for being here. We're going to talk about the unemployment rate. So the unemployment rate dropped. It went from, 10.2 to 8.4%. And so that's good news. People are happy about that. Of course, the White House is very happy about it. We heard President Trump talk about it. We heard a variety of different people from the White House talk about this, and they're excited, right? Because we've dropped from the double digits into the single digits. Now, an 8.4% unemployment rate is not a good unemployment rate, but considering the circumstances where we were before, we've gotten it down, and that's good. Now, there's some things that are affecting this. The first thing that we need to address is the fact that if you have a country shut down, of course, the unemployment rate is going to skyrocket. We all knew that, right? When they start going back to work, that's when the numbers are going to drop. They should drop drastically, but that still leaves us. I believe we're still almost 30,000 or 30 million. Almost 30 million are still unemployed. I think it's between 25 and 30 million are still unemployed at the current time. And so there's certain things that they're looking at that are kind of giving them they're focused on certain things. And one of the things is the census. So you have people working temporarily. And federal, well, I guess you can call them temporary federal employees that they've hired on for the census. And so that's in the neighborhood of, like, I think 238,000. Yeah, 238,000 census workers. And so that is going to skew the numbers a little bit, right? Because now you've hired all these people for the census. So that's going to skew the numbers just a little bit. I don't want to even say just a little bit. That's actually a large number, right? 200,000, over 200,000 people. But when you look at the declining rate, when you're looking at the people who've gone back to work, we're starting to see that decline, which is not a good thing, right? It's going the opposite direction of where it should be going. And let me give you an example. So in June, 4.8 million people went back to work, or we had 4.8 million new jobs, if you want to look at it that way. Some people call it new jobs, which I don't think you should call it new jobs, because I think the vast majority of people, they're just going back to work. So that's what we saw in June. Now, in in July, we saw 1.7 million new jobs, or 1.7 million people went back to work. And so that number dropped, right? And then in August, we saw 1.4 million people. And then, like I said, you have to take account that 238,000 temporary jobs, that's something different, right? That's an influx of jobs that wasn't expected. And these are temporary jobs, so they're not gonna last. I don't know exactly how long they're going to be doing the census, but at some point these people are going to be laid off. Okay, that's just a part of being a temporary employee. Or seasonal employee. So you see the numbers going the wrong way. You had a nice bump in June, and then it started to reduce in July, and then it started to reduce again in August. And so does that mean for September it's going to reduce even more? Who knows, right? So that's what we're looking at when it comes to the unemployment rate. Although it does look like good news, don't be too excited about that, because that doesn't mean that we're back on track. Like, you hear a lot of people, a lot of politicians, Larry Kudlow, advisors, and people like this saying this is great news. We're out of the woods and the economy is back on track and all this. I would say hold on. We still have a lot of people who are unemployed, and we're seeing a decrease in people as far as going back to work. So I mean, ideally, if all those jobs were still available, like still there, like if businesses were laying people off and they had jobs to come back to, then we wouldn't have this problem of looking at the numbers reducing like that. It should get to a point where everyone gets their jobs back. We wouldn't have like 25 million people still unemployed. So the news looks okay, but don't be too excited about the news. Okay, that's all I want to say. All right, we have some new members here. I want to give shout outs to the new members, and then we'll get to the other stories. But I want you guys to let me know what you think about the unemployment rate down below. So let us know. All right, let's see here. So I don't want to miss anyone. Janet, I believe, is okay. Yeah. So Janet, thank you for becoming a member. Janet Miller, thank you for joining the club. Now, all the members, like I said, after this live stream, we're going to do the what do they call that? Post game? Yeah, we're going to do we'll do like an after hours live right after this, and it'll be for members only, and we're just going to go over a few things. So just letting you guys know that. Lori, thank you for becoming a member. Amy, thank you for becoming a member. And how to get an 800 credit score. What's going on, Lyndon? Thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that, brother. Now, if you guys don't know, Lyndon, how to get an 800 credit score, not only does he talk about credit and how to improve your credit, which I think is something that everyone should be interested in. You always want to get that credit you want to have good credit. It just helps. It helps for everything. When you're buying a house, when you're buying a car, when you're getting credit. Period. If you have good credit, it really, really helps out, and you end up having to pay less for a lot of things just because you have good credit. So check him out. He talks about that. He also talks about the stimulus checks. Okay, so he's doing videos on stimulus checks, and so if you guys could show him some support, I'd really appreciate it. Just go over to his channel and watch his videos, subscribe to his channel, hit the little bell notification. Anytime you guys subscribe, if you guys are subscribing to me, subscribing to anyone, hit the bell notification, because that's key in getting, so you'll get notified. So make sure you do that. And thank you again, Lyndon, for becoming a member. Appreciate that. And we'll talk more. We'll talk more later in our live stream, our members live stream. All right. So next thing I want to talk about is the skinny bill. Okay. So this skinny bill, they've been talking about this for the last 3 weeks, and it's basically what's going on is the Republicans in the Senate. So let me just give you a little bit of let's start from the beginning and then work our way forward. So the first bill that was presented for this second round of stimulus checks, the first stimulus package that they worked on was the HEROES Act, and that was approved in the House, and that was on May 15th. That was sent over to the Senate, and the Senate didn't do anything with it. Okay, so we have the CARES Act that had a stimulus package, okay, or stimulus check. That was the first thing, right? And then right after that, a month and a half later, Nancy Pelosi got together in the House with other people in the House and said, hey, you know what, we want to create a new package, right? They've been talking about another stimulus package, so they created a new stimulus package. That stimulus package was the HEROES Act, okay? So when they created the HEROES Act, sent it over to the Senate, guess what? It just sat there. Senators didn't do anything with it. Mitch McConnell said, I don't want to do anything with this. And so from that point, we waited for about 2.5 months, and then the HEALS Act was created. And the HEALS Act was created by Mitch McConnell and the Republican senators, as well as the White House. I think the White House played the major part in this whole situation. So Once the HEALS Act was created, then they wanted to start working on voting on the HEALS Act, right? They didn't have the support in the Senate. You had some Republican senators that didn't want a stimulus package at all. And so they were not voting for this. Then you had Democrats in the Senate that said, you know what, we don't like this HEALS Act. Go with the HEROES Act. We already have that. Why are you doing this HEALS Act? So you didn't have the support. So they tried to negotiate, and it just wasn't going anywhere. And so then we get to this point where we are right now. And that's why they're talking about this skinny bill. They're saying, okay, you know what? We're going to try, this Republican senators are saying, we're going to try to pull some of these Republican senators that don't want another stimulus package at all. We're going to try to pull them over. Maybe we can get a bill signed without the Democrats because we have the majority. We have 53 senators. So they have the majority. They don't need the Democrats to support anything when it comes to the Senate. They can do it. All you need is 51 votes. They can get those 51 votes. And so that's why they're now trying to work out this skinny bill where they can pull in some of these Republican senators, and maybe they'll be for it. I don't think it's going to work. For one reason, the main reason is because the way that they're going about it, they're trying to pull in some Republican senators, but you're not going to pull in all of them. Some of them are still going to say, I don't want to spend another dime on a stimulus package. So if you're talking about $500 billion, that's still too much. And so some of them might not sign off at all. And then you have the Democrats because the bill has pretty much already been out there. Like we already kind of know what's going to be in it, and I'll talk about it. So the money that they want to allocate at this point is unemployment benefits. So they need to address that. Enhanced unemployment is getting started, right? Or is expiring. And so they're going to need more funding for enhanced unemployment. So that's going to have to be in there. PPP money. Okay, so the payroll protection money, they want to go about that again. So they need funding for that. Schools, trying to get schools back online, not back online, offline, get kids back into school. And so they need funding for that. COVID-19 testing, so we know we want to continue to test and look for vaccines and things like that, so they need some funding for that. And then childcare, they need money for childcare. So that's what's going to be in the skinny bill. No mention of stimulus checks. And so you're going to that's going to be dead on arrival for a lot of Democrats in the Senate. Or I should say a lot. I pretty much think across the board, they're not going to want anything without stimulus checks. You're also going to have some Republicans that aren't going to want this without stimulus checks. And so we'll see what they do with this skinny bill. We'll see if they're able to vote on it and get it approved. I don't think so. I think Mitch McConnell will probably stop it in its current state. So we'll have to see where it goes. But just another tool that they're using to bargain, maybe say, hey, you know what, we can get something through the Senate. If you don't want to go with this larger package, then we're just going to push through this small package and address the enhanced unemployment and the PPP. That's the main thing. And the money for schools too. Those are the main things I think that they want to really, really push when it comes down to it. All right, so we have new members. Let's go ahead and see who's new. Adam, thank you for becoming a member. And Lyndon, thank you for the super chat, brother. Thank you very much. No problem, man. No problem about the shout out. He does good work. It's hard to do YouTube. It's hard. And I talk to Lyndon a lot over via WhatsApp. And we just kind of, YouTubers, if you guys don't know, we strategize about how to do things and what works and what doesn't work, because YouTube is so confusing when it comes to knowing how to get a video to take off and things like that. Like, no one knows. This is all a secret. The YouTube algorithm is something that is foreign to us. So, and it's done purposely, right? They do that because they don't want you to know their formula, because if you know their formula, then you can just pretty much put out whatever video you want, and you know how to get that video to take off. So we talk a lot. I talk with him. I talk with some other YouTubers just about, hey, how do we get this to work? Okay. So thank you very much for the super chat, brother. Appreciate that. And I think that's all when it comes to members. Yeah. All right. Okay. Next story we want to talk about is the COVID predictions, these COVID-19 predictions. Now, this is crazy. And let me just first tell you what the numbers look like. So we're talking about they're talking about, this was a study done by the University of Washington, and so 410,000 by January 1st. That's the death toll that they think that we'll be seeing, and that sounds crazy to me. I mean, the weird part about it is I remember back in March, April, they started putting out these predictions, and I'm like, what? Over 100,000 deaths by August? No way. Like, I just couldn't see it. And at the time, I don't even know what numbers we were looking at the time. But they were, I can't even remember. But when they were talking about 100,000, over 100,000, I'm thinking there's no way. And they said best case scenario would be around 75,000 deaths. And even then I was thinking that is a large number. But they're talking about 410,000 by January 1st. They're talking about 3,000 deaths per day in December. So, I mean, these numbers just, I mean, it's crazy. And we're looking at, we're going to start getting cooler, the flu, flu season, things like that. This is going to be, I'm hoping for the best. And all I can tell you, I wear my mask anytime I leave and go places. Please wear a mask. Please do that, just so we can keep the numbers down. And that way we'll be able to get back to normal activity, hopefully by next year. But yeah, that it's crazy when you think about it. 410,000. I hope that's not the case. Let me know what you guys think about this in the chat. Let me know in the comment section what you think about it. But I just, when I saw those numbers, I had to share that with you guys just because it's kind of unbelievable. And I mean, we're talking doubling our numbers by January. That should scare a lot of people. It definitely scares me. So, okay, next story we're going to talk about. What did President Trump say about the stimulus checks and I mean, I'm going to let you guys hear the videos first, okay? And then we're going to talk about it. I have three different clips. We'll play the first one. We'll talk a little bit about it. We'll play the second one. We'll talk a little bit about it. We'll play the third one, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Yeah, I just don't know what to say. I really don't. And so let me kind of set this up for you, just so you, because it's coming on a clip, you might be like, well, what all is going on? So President Trump is doing a press conference, his coronavirus press conference that he does daily. And he talks about a variety of different things during these press conferences. They're not always just about the coronavirus numbers and where we are and all that. He talks about a lot of different things. He badmouths people, talks about Biden, talks about all this stuff, right? And when it comes down to it, in this one, he started talking about the stimulus checks. And he mentioned that there's $300 billion sitting around, or extra money, I guess, money that hasn't been spent from the CARES Act that we could use for stimulus checks. And so he mentions that. He doesn't tell us where the money's coming from, which is one red flag. We don't know where it's coming from. So that's like, you tell me you have money, I want to know where it's coming from. So he doesn't tell us where it's coming from. And then he does talk about prison reform. He talks about releasing prisoners. He's talking about things that were in the HEROES Act, which, like I said, the HEROES Act was the one that was approved on May 5th or May 15th. And that's not being looked at right now. We're not looking at the HEROES Act anymore. We're looking at the HEALS Act. That's what they're trying to negotiate, the HEALS Act. So he goes back to that. And I think that's more of just to get people riled up. Like, what are you talking about releasing prisoners? So he goes to that. Then he goes to the undocumented people receiving money. And that was something else that was in the HEROES Act. Okay, so people with ITIN numbers. So basically people who are in the U.S. Illegally, but they're working. So they're paying taxes, right? So they have this number, and that ties them in, so they can pay taxes and receive a paycheck. So at some level, I mean, if you think about it, there's an ITIN number. So at some level, we're accepting the fact that they're here and that they're working. But nonetheless, like that whole argument is not being discussed right now when it comes to the current the current climate and what we're trying to get right now. You don't hear Stephen Mnuchin and Mark Meadows discussing these two topics that the president is discussing now. You don't hear them talking about the whole prison reform thing and as far as being in the negotiations right now, the prison reform thing and the undocumented. You don't hear them talking about that being in the current negotiations. So I would probably say they're not talking about that in those negotiations, but the president is bringing it up because he knows it's red meat. It gets people fired up and saying, what's going on? So anyway, I'm just warning you he does talk a little bit about that, just so you know the context. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look.
And for the Democrats in Congress to start working across the aisle and put the American people first. Now, we have $300 billion in an account that we didn't use, $300 billion, and we are willing to use that. I would be willing to release it, subject to Congress, and use that as stimulus money, and it would go right to the American people. So we have $300 billion sitting in an account that we didn't need because things are going so well with the economy. But it would be a very appropriate thing to release that to the American people, and I am willing to do it. All we need is a sign-off. But that doesn't mean that we're going to release prisoners, some very vicious people, actually. We're not going to put them on the streets like the Democrats want us to. And we're not going to give stimulus checks to illegal aliens. They came into the country illegally, and now we give them a check. We want to give the checks to the American people. So remember, we have $300 million. It's there. We don't need the money. We don't need anything. Just let that money get released to the American people.
All right. So there it is. So you saw that's what he's talking about, right? Releasing this money, this $300 billion. We don't need the money, which is kind of weird. He's saying we don't need the $300 billion. Now, this is up to the Democrats, right? The Democrats are the ones that are holding off on this. Basically, he thinks he's going to get pushback from the Democrats, and they're not going to want to do this. We'll have to see where the money's coming from. That's the main thing that I would want to know. Where is the money coming from? Is this money PPP money? There's some talk that it's PPP money that could not be spent. So is that what we're talking about? Because if it's the PPP money, well, guess what? They're talking about doing another PPP program or another PPP funding in the next bill. So if you just take that money out, you're going to have to put that money right back in because that's what's going in this next package that they're talking about. So is it that? Is it is it some state and local funding? We know there was $150 billion that was allocated for the state in the CARES Act. Is it that? It could be that as well. It could be part of that. Now, that would be another situation where that would be a no-go. Democrats aren't going to go for that, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting that he's saying that there's $300 billion just sitting around waiting for us to use it. How's that? I mean, what's going to happen with that? Like, how are we going to go about that? The president, and like I said, I don't care if you voted for him, you didn't vote for him. He doesn't give you the whole story, right? And if you're going to put something out there, give us the whole story. We have money that was appropriated for this. We can't use it for this. That's why we're going to use it for this. But tell us where it's coming from. Then we'll know. But now all you're doing is you're getting everybody all excited about this $300 billion, which is plenty of money for stimulus checks. I mean, we spent, I think it was $260 billion in the CARES Act for stimulus checks, and that was the last round, right? And so if you have $300 billion, guess what? You might be able to give us more than that. If you're going to take that whole $300 billion, you'll be able to give us more, more in a check, more in a stimulus check than the CARES Act gave us. So don't get people all excited, but then don't tell us where the money's coming from, because this could be just a big shell game. He could just be playing it, okay, yeah, we're just going to take money from programs that are going to be in the next stimulus package. We're going to just take money from those programs, or take money from programs that are still receiving money, right? So this PPP money could still be going out to people. Or if it's state and local funding, you're just going to take that money, but that money was allocated for the states, right? So they're either spending the money now, or they're on hold. They can't spend it for whatever reason. part of this new stimulus package, they're supposed to be able to allow the states to use the money a little more freely because the states have run up against some walls when it comes to how they can spend the money. So we could be looking at a situation where he's just going to take money from the money that's still out there that hasn't been spent yet because of certain reasons it can't be spent, take that money and then just give us the stimulus checks, which some people might be okay with. But the whole thing is now you're taking money from another area. So it's just, I would want to know, where's the money coming from? That's the most important thing, right? Where's the money coming from? And that'll give us a better idea of where we go. And the president, he kind of alludes to this, and we'll go ahead to the next clip, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, please.
Thank you, President Trump. If I could first ask a clarifying question about the $300 billion.
Yeah.
You've ruled out doing that unilaterally. You're going to wait for Congress to repurpose it for stimulus checks.
Yeah, what about it?
Oh, is that correct?
All right. Now, and I don't want to be too overcritical, but that was kind of a weird delay, right? I don't think the president knows what unilateral means, and that's why he kind of like, okay, what is he asking me? Because he just sat there like, yeah, what? And so he kind of had to figure out, oh, okay, I guess this is what he's talking about. Let's go ahead and go back.
You're waiting for Congress.
I am. There's a theory that I can do it without the approval, but I'd rather get the approval so that we have it. But there's a theory I could take the $300 billion. It's money that we have, money that we built up, and money that we haven't spent. And I would love to give it to the American people as a very powerful stimulus. So, yeah, I think there is a theory that I could do it without having to go back, but I think it would be appropriate to go back, and I would ask Congress to approve it. It's a very simple approval. It's literally a one-sentence approval. And the Democrats should do that. The Republicans will do that. They'd be glad to do that. So we'll see whether or not they do it. Okay? Please.
Okay, so you saw that they're pretty much asking him about this $300 billion. He thinks that the Democrats should do it. He said the Republicans will do it. I'm not too sure the Republicans will do it. Some Republicans will not do it. I can tell you that right away, because we already know some of the fiscal hawks. You see $300 billion that's not been spent, don't spend it. Put that towards the deficit, right? That's what they would say. They don't want to spend this extra money that wasn't used. But let's look at it like this. Wouldn't this be a good, because, whoa, I'm dropping stuff. Wouldn't this be a good situation where we already know where we are right now when it comes to the 1.3 trillion is what the White House is. They're saying that this is how much we want to spend on the next stimulus package. Then we have 2.2 trillion. That's what where the Democrats are. That's where they're saying they want to, they need at least 2.2 trillion. Why not sweeten the deal with this extra $300 billion that he's talking about? So bring that 1.3 trillion to 1.6 trillion, and then say, hey, look, this is what we have, and see if the Democrats will come down a little bit, and then maybe they can work out a deal that way. Ultimately, we're still going to need another stimulus package. It would be best if everything was in one. I mean, from what he's talking about now, the $300 billion, he's saying, there's a theory that says that I can do this. That's a dangerous thing, okay? Because having the president go alone is dangerous, and we see it right now. We're seeing it right now with this payroll tax deferral. Okay, I don't think people would be happy because Congress has the purse. They hold the purse, so they're going to have to approve of this regardless of what happens. They're going to have to give the final approval. So let's say the president does want to step ahead and say, you know what, I'm just going to do an executive order, stimulus checks for everyone. Enjoy. That's still going to be a loan. You might have to pay that back. Okay, just like the payroll tax deferral. That's all he can do. He can tell the Treasury, we have extra money, tell the Treasury, issue out those checks, and we'll worry about who pays for it later. And then it could be a situation where when you file your taxes, you have to claim that $1,200, and then you have to pay that $1,200 back. So that could be a situation that we're looking at if the president wants to go it alone, because he does not have the power to just do that. Okay. And he knows he doesn't have the power to do it. That's why he's saying that he wants to get Congress to approve it, because he knows he can't just do it on his own. Congress is ultimately going to have to approve it. And so he's saying that there is a theory. Yeah, there's a theory. Yeah, you can do an executive order, say it's an emergency, we have to send these stimulus checks out. But it could be one of those situations, just like this payroll tax deferral, where people are going to could potentially have to pay it back. Or you could be in a situation where you receive this money, and if you're thinking, well, I might have to pay it back, what are a lot of people going to do with that money? They're not going to spend it. That's what I would do. If you give me a stimulus check and you tell me, you know what, you might have to pay it back, I'm probably not going to spend it unless I absolutely have to. And I understand there are some people who absolutely have to spend the money, but you're going to have, it's not going to stimulate the economy in a way where if you just give someone $1,200 and tell them you don't have to pay this back, you don't have to pay taxes on it or anything like that, just like the last one, people are going to spend that, especially being being near the holidays and things like that. People are going to spend that money. But if you tell me it's a loan, I'm not too interested in spending money if it's a loan. But so that was the first question. Now there was another question that he got asked too. So there was a follow-up question, I guess, because he's not giving us anything. He's just pretty much like people say, he's throwing that stuff out there like clickbait, but he's not giving us the information that we need in order to make in order to know exactly what's going on. He's not telling us where this money's coming from, which is, I mean, the most important thing, I would think. Yeah, so let's go ahead and play the last clip here.
Room we're going to want to take, right?
Thanks, Mr. President. A quick clarification on my question. The $300 billion, is that from the Main Street lending program, or is that from a different part? Where are you?
It's sitting in an account, has not been spent, but we're willing to spend it. No, we're willing to spend it. I'd like to get approval from Congress. There's a theory that I don't have to do that, but I'd rather be up front, and I'd like to get approval from Congress. Let it go directly to the people. It would be a great stimulus. It's actually more stimulus than we're asking for in terms of pure stimulus. This would be pure stimulus. I wouldn't have to let prisoners go, some very evil prisoners go. Like, think of it. The Democrats, in order to get what they want and in order to give us what they're talking about allowing prisoners to be released, prisoners that we don't want to be released. So in order that we get money to the American people, they want to say release prisoners and other things like that are very bad. And we just can't do that. We don't want to do that.
And then just
Okay, I didn't realize it stopped. So I was looking at the chat, so I got a little, focused on the chat and didn't realize it stopped. So anyway, yeah. So Main Street lending, I did see someone in the chat say something about that, and that's what the reporter was asking him: is this mainstream lending money alluding to the PPP program? But you saw he's not answering, right? He's not saying where this money is coming from. We just have it. There's $300 billion just sitting around. Nobody's using it. Let's use it for stimulus checks. It sounds like a great idea. It does. But where's that money coming from? Or is that money sitting there waiting to be spent on other things? And he just sees it there and he's saying, hey, we have money. Let's use it. Let's use it for this. So we'll find out more. I'm sure the people will come out. I'm sure that they'll come out and let us know, okay, yeah, there's money from the CARES Act, but it's allocated for this, this, and this. And then we'll look at it and we'll say, okay, well, yeah, that's probably not money that we can spend. But by President Trump putting that out there, now everyone is wondering, okay, well, there's money. There's money. We have money for stimulus checks. Let's get it done. So we'll see what happens. I really don't like this type of politics. Look, if the president really wants to get a deal done, I've said this, I'll keep saying this, he needs to sit down with the other side. Okay? Actually, he needs to sit down with the senators, and then he needs to sit down with the other side or sit down with everyone at the same time and work something out. That's what needs to happen. All this talk on TV and stuff like that and tweeting this and tweeting that, that's not productive. That's not going to get anything done. He could have spent this this hour that he's doing this press. Well, you know what? The press conference is good. We do need to have press conferences. We do need to have him talking about the coronavirus numbers and what's going on as far as where we are with the vaccine and things like that. So we need that. But when it comes to talking about the stimulus package and things like that, call Nancy Pelosi, call Chuck Schumer, have a conference call with everyone in the room, but start talking to them about these different things. Putting this stuff out to us and not giving us full details, that it's not productive. It just gets people's hopes up. Okay, just like when we talk about people on YouTube doing the clickbait videos and all this stuff, and you're getting people, you get people's hopes up, and then you don't give them the details that they need. Like, he's not giving us any details when it comes to this money. Okay, so I don't think it's productive. I think this is just a way for him to say, well, I'm for stimulus checks. There's $300 billion. Oh, where's the money coming from? Where's the $300 billion? He doesn't share that information with us. Okay, I could tell you right now, hey, I have $10 billion. I'm going to do a giveaway next week. I have $10 billion. We're going to start giving away stimulus checks. I could say that, but you know what? I need approval from someone, right? And I can continue saying that, but if I'm not telling you where that money's coming from, are you going to believe me? You're probably initially you might be excited, but then after a while you're going to be like, well, where's that money coming from? He's got $10 billion. Wow, where's it coming from? So I don't know. I just think in situations like this, we need to be, of course we want to believe what our politicians are telling us, but we do need to do some fact checking. We do need to do some research and find out, hey, he's talking about $300 billion. Where is this $300 billion coming from? I'm sure reporters now are going to be looking into this. This is going to be the one of the stories that they're talking about. The other story, obviously, is the story about veterans. It did come out last week that the president could have said some really bad things about veterans, calling them losers and suckers. And so this could be kind of a diversion. And people have said this before about the president, like when he gets, his back up against the wall, then he'll divert and try to get your attention on something else by saying, yep, stimulus check, because he hasn't been talking about stimulus checks the last 3 weeks, right? I follow it every day. I know he hasn't talked about stimulus checks in at least 3 weeks. So all of a sudden now there's $300 billion. Now we're talking about getting these stimulus checks out when we weren't talking about them before. That's kind of interesting, right? So this could be a tactic to kind of get let's go to the next topic. We don't want to talk about this veteran stuff anymore. He was asked during this press conference a couple of times about the veterans. And now I'm not going to go into all those details. Maybe I'll save that for a different video. But I'm sure you guys have seen it on the news as far as the talk about veterans. And you've had some different people come out. Some military personnel have come out, or ex-military personnel have come out, talking about their experience with Mr. Trump and things like that. So on both sides, positive and negative. So anyway, that's something that I'll save for a different video. But this could be one of those situations where he's trying to change the topic and go on to. Everybody wants stimulus checks, right? Everybody's talking about stimulus checks, and if you put that out there, that might be a way to, a way to get people focused on that, right? And you're not giving us the full story, so now we're focused on something. We don't even know where the money's coming from. We know that there's money available. We don't know why it's available. We don't know if it's going to something else. We don't know any of that. One thing that I would be thinking about if I were the president and you have $300 billion and you need about $260 billion for stimulus checks, what about taking $40 billion and extending that enhanced unemployment another month, another 5 weeks? If you could do that, why not focus on that as well? Because that's something that's going to expire this month, and no one's talking about it right now. Like, as far as from the White House, they're not talking about the fact, hey, you know what, this money's going to run out. And they might get one check, because states now, I think there's 7 states that have already started sending out checks. and I think 45 states have already been approved. And so that means, or at least applied. So that means we're in a situation where these checks are going to start going out and people are going to realize, oh, wow, I only got one check. What happened? Well, guess what? It was only good enough for 3 to 5 weeks, and we're reaching that 5th week now. So that should be something that would be, I would think that would be something that he should be focused on as well. So we'll see. We'll see where this money's coming from. But it's unfortunate. Don't give me half of the story. If you're going to come out and tell me something like that, like $300 billion for stimulus checks, tell me where it's coming from. That's all I want to know. And we shouldn't want to know. We should want to know where it's coming from. And I did see in the chat where some people said, you know what, at this point, we just want stimulus checks. We don't care where it's coming from. You do want to know where it's coming from, because it could be coming from, guess where? Your pocket. You might get $1,200 and then have to pay that $1,200 back. That's why it's important to know where it's coming from. Because if that money is already being spent on other things and the president does an executive order because Congress doesn't want to go, doesn't want to approve it, and the president does the executive order, guess what? You're getting to $1,200 stimulus check, but then you're going to have to pay that back. I think people would be upset about that. So it is important for us to know where that money's coming from. All right, so let me know what you guys think in the chat. Let me know in the comments section if you're watching this video after our live stream. But yeah, pretty interesting news. I'm not going to call it good news because, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to call it yet. We'll have to see once they do some more research and try to find out exactly where this money's coming from. Then maybe we'll be able to we'll be able to talk about it and figure out what's going on with this money. All right, so let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the chat, and we're gonna go in the chat right now and talk about what's going on with this. Also, guys, if you could do me a favor, we're about 800 likes right now. If you could hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. We have about 1,200 people in the building, so if you hit the like button, we can bring some more people in. And we do have 8 new members, so thank you guys for becoming members. We will be doing a live stream, a membership live stream after this live stream. Okay, it'll take me about 10 minutes to get everything set up, and then we'll come back on for a live stream. It'll just be for members only, and I just want to. This is an informal one. Well, they're all going to be informal, but this is not like the scheduled one. I want to kind of get people in the room first, and then we'll talk a little bit. Get this Discord running. The private Discord is what I really focused on, because that'll be the easiest way for me to let you guys know when we're going to do the live streams and when we're going to do some different things. So that is that. Now let's go in the chat and see what people are talking about. If you have questions for me, just put @TEC. If you put @TEC, I will address those questions. And thank you guys all for being here. We have a good showing today. I appreciate that. And let's see. Let me see if I have. Laura says hello. Hello, Laura. Laura Dance. Let's see. And Thelma's saying that they need to come together and get it done for the people. I agree. They definitely need to do that. And if this is really a good bargaining chip, like if President Trump thinks this is good, like this $300 billion, that's what you should come to the table with. Meet in person, come to the table, say, hey, we have the $300 billion. We can work this out. Like I'm saying, when it comes down to it, and I know I've been beating up on President Trump a lot today, but you have to. We have to get to a point where we stop looking at this whole party affiliation stuff and just look at the people. And look at how you would handle a situation, or how you would want a situation handled. Now, would you want someone? I don't care if you approve of that person or not, but if they are representing you, would you want that person in the room? I think everyone would say yes. I would want them in the room. They should be in the room fighting for me. And I give the example of if your attorney is doing representing you via Twitter, or representing you via another person, like you pay all this money for an attorney, right? And you go in and you have someone fighting for you, whatever it is, whatever the situation is, and you come to court and then you realize your attorney's not there, but someone else comes on his behalf, right? And you're like, wait a minute, I'm paying this attorney money. Who is this person? Who is this person? You're gonna want that. You're gonna want that person to be in the room fighting for you. That's why you pay them. You know, that's why you're paying them money. That's why you're paying their salary. We pay the president's salary. We pay these politicians' salary. They should be in the room negotiating. That is their job. And so if you are a master negotiator, this should have been done a long time ago. If that's your claim to fame and you wrote the art of the deal and all this stuff, why are you not there negotiating? This is your wheelhouse. This is the reason why a lot of people said, hey, I'm voting for President Trump. Why? Because he's a businessman. He knows how to get things done. This is your situation here. This is your legacy as a president, to get a negotiation done, and this is what you say that you do the best, then you should be doing it. So we'll see what happens with this. Like I said, I'm sure there's more is going to come out about this. But and as soon as it comes out, I will definitely let you guys know where this $300 billion is coming from, because I'm really curious about it. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. You know what's funny? I'm at a plateau right now with subscribers. So if you guys are new here, if you guys have watched me for a while, you never subscribe to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification. That also helps when it comes to YouTube pushing my video out to more people. The way that and this is all speculation as far as how we think YouTube works. But one of the things that I have seen and I've talked to people, if you subscribe to, let me just give you an example, and I'm kind of going off on a different subject, but I just want to kind of get this out there so people understand the importance of liking a video and subscribing to a video. So if you subscribe to a video, you have a profile. Like, YouTube knows your profile. They know the videos that you watch, right? And if you subscribe to a channel, they will link you and your view patterns, or the different type of videos that you watch. They'll compare you to some of the other people who watch similar videos. And then guess what they do? They send my video out to those people as well, because you've subscribed to the channel. So they say, oh, well, this person likes it. Just like on Facebook, when you, and I don't use Facebook very often anymore, but when I first started using it, it was kind of crazy, because you get in there and you befriend someone on Facebook, and it's like someone you went to high school with. And then all of a sudden, a couple days later, you're getting, you may know this person, you may know this person, you may know. It's like, what? And they know, right? They know that I knew that person because of all the different, because the interactions. Like, I know this person, so I might know this person, I might know this person, and they tie everything in. YouTube does the same thing. So if you subscribe to a channel, then they say, okay, you know what? These people might like this channel as well, because they watch the same type of videos. So that's how that all works. Or at least that's how we think it all works. So please subscribe to the channel. I really want to start focusing on that too. I say like the videos a lot, but I don't talk about subscribing, and it's really shown. Like, I'm really seeing a kind of a plateau when it comes to that. Okay, let's see. Questions. Let's go ahead and answer some of those. Kathy, let's see. Do you think Trump may still do an order for the stimulus, or wait? Like I said, he says he has a theory, or he's been given a theory, or however he said it. There's a theory that says that I can do this. Is it something he could potentially do? Executive order, you can do it. You can do whatever he wants with an executive order, in the sense that he can do it. It doesn't mean that it's legal. Doesn't mean that it's going to go anywhere. But it could be something that he tries. Like I said, he's in a situation right now where I really think if this veterans stuff comes, if it continues to linger, he needs to change the story. He definitely does. And so he might do something like that, do an executive order, and then just kind of shove it on Congress. And it's you know, he's saying that, oh, it's the Democrats, they're not going to be, you know, they're going to be the ones that are holding this up. But yeah, it's not going to be just Democrats. So you might have some pushback from Republicans as well. $300 billion, because you have some Republicans that don't want stimulus checks. Okay, that is a fact. You can look that up. You can look at some of the senators. They even wrote a letter and this was in June, they wrote an open letter to President Trump and Mitch McConnell saying, we don't want stimulus packages at all. We don't want any more money spent. And so they are against stimulus checks. So if there's $300 billion sitting around, they're going to want that money to go towards paying off our deficit. So we'll see what he does with this. Like I said, what I'm interested to know is where's this money coming from. And once we find out where the money's coming from, then people are going to start talking about. I mean, he might back down at that point if we find out that the money is allocated for something else that it's being used for right now as we speak. I mean, you could still have money that's there, but that doesn't mean it's not being spent. So the way he's making it sound like the money is just there. It's not going to be spent, so we might as well spend it. Okay. All right. Thelma saying this man do not speak the truth. Okay, I don't know if you're talking about me or the president. Yeah, like I said, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. I just don't like to hear like you get people's hopes up by telling them a little bit. There's $300 billion. That's all you need to tell them is $300 billion. Don't tell me where it's coming from. I don't like that because first, I don't know if there is $300 billion, and why would you just tell me half that story and then just kind of move on and say, yeah, this could be stimulus checks. Yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, I'm following the story. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. You'll get notified as soon as this comes out because I might have to jump in on a live stream, a last-minute live stream just to say, hey, this is where the money's coming from. All right. So any questions, guys, just put it in the chat. We'll be on for probably about another 5 minutes. I appreciate everybody's support. We had a really good showing today. Let's see if we can also get to 1,000 likes. We're almost there. We got about 935. Actually, the likes are moving up as I speak. So if you guys can hit that like button if you have not done so, appreciate that. It will definitely help once this video is done. It'll be in our rebroadcast. More people can watch it. And then remember, if you are a member, come back 10 minutes. 10 minutes after we end this, I'm going to set it up right now, and then we'll go live and do a live stream. And I want to get your information. So your information for our Discord. Okay. All right. And Guy is saying that it's pretty evident that Trump refuses to go to the table. You know what? I think if Trump got challenged, he would come to the table. If he got challenged, he would. If someone told him, look, and reporters have told him this before, but other politicians have not. I have not heard too much. And maybe that's because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer don't want him in the room. I don't know. But if he was getting pushed from other politicians, I think he would have to, because he's given everyone this persona of he's the master negotiator. If you challenge him, then he's going to have to be like, okay, well, I probably have to. Yeah, if you have politicians stand up and say, you're the master negotiator, why aren't you getting this stuff done? I think he might be pushed to do something. At the very least, he'll probably do a phone call. That's probably what he would do, like a conference, a phone conference, kind of like the whole mask thing, right? There was a time where he was adamantly against wearing a mask. It looks like now he still doesn't want to wear a mask because he's not wearing one, but he kept getting called on about that, wearing a mask. And so there was that one scene where he's walking through, I believe he was at a hospital, but he's walking through this hallway, and you see him with some other people, and he's wearing a mask, right? Because there was that whole thing. People kept pushing him on it, and finally he's like, okay, fine, I'm going to wear this mask. just so people will stop pushing me about it. So there could be a situation where if he gets pushed by the right people, if you have some politicians coming out and challenging him, saying, "Look, you this is why people elected you, and this is your opportunity, and you're not doing anything about it." So we'll see where it goes. Okay, Allison saying that Trump isn't following rules or protocol. It's not a very adult way to handle things. Yeah. Don Lemon. What is this? All right, let's see. And so Thelma's saying, yeah, he needs to sit down and do something, talk. Yeah, and like I said, you have to look at their actions, right? And this is one of the things when it comes to politicians, I don't care who the politician is, look at their actions, right? I think a lot of people were upset when they saw Nancy Pelosi going into that salon, didn't have her mask on, all that stuff. It's supposed to be closed to the public, and she's public, right? And she's going in there. And then on the other hand, she's saying, as far as we need to keep things shut down. It's in her. I don't know. I don't know if it was in her district. I just know it was in San Francisco. So situations like that, like you're saying one thing, you're saying that we need to be shut down for these reasons, but then you're doing something different. So we're looking at actions, right? We're looking at not just what they're saying, and I would mainly look at what they're doing, not even what they're saying, because they could say anything. But what are they doing? What are they doing to make this happen? That's what you need to focus on. All right, and for those, and this is one more thing I want to talk about because I didn't talk about this earlier. I do have another. Okay, so let me just tell you this. I've always had 3 channels, and I'm going to pull this up right now. I've always had 3 channels, so I've always had 3 YouTube channels, and there's one that's where there's this main channel here, and then there's a channel called Everything David. And that's just a channel where I just talk about a variety of different things. I'm going to start putting more content on there in the near future. I have a lot of videos of my travels that I want to start editing and putting out there. And then I had another channel that I created, and I didn't do much with it. It was, well, I put maybe 30 videos, more about cycling, riding a bike. And so I was putting that content out. And I've decided to change the name of that channel and start talking about, because I told you guys I was going to talk more about the polls and things like that. So I decided to change that channel, the name, and then I'm going to talk more about the election stuff. Okay, so that's where we're going to focus on the polls and what this means and stuff like that. I've been getting a lot of people asking me questions about, well, does this politician want stimulus checks and things like that? So because of that, I want to have a channel devoted to that, okay? And I'm doing a lot of talking right now while I'm trying to pull this up. But let me see if I can do this while we're talking here. So if you guys are interested, go over to that channel, and as soon as I give you guys a link, and subscribe. And like I said, I will be putting out content where we're going to talk about the numbers. We're going to talk about the polls. We're going to talk about Mitch McConnell. And I mean, that he's one that I really want to follow. Right now, I think the last poll, there are not too many polls for senators and Congress people. But let me see if this comes up in a search first. But he's one that I really want to follow. He's up by about 5 points right now. So yeah, he's definitely one that I wanna follow, because it's interesting how, I mean, we all see what Trump is not doing, I'm sorry, what Mitch McConnell's not doing, and he's still winning in Kentucky right now as far as the polls are showing. There's about a 5-point difference. So yeah, that's interesting. Now, I made a mistake last night, and I realized it this morning but I changed the title of my main channel, which is not something that I wanted to do. I did it by mistake. And so, so I woke up this morning and I was like, what just happened? Why is why is my channel name different? So I had to change that real quick, and I hope that doesn't mess with anything. It looks like the notifications and everything went out, but I'm always nervous about things like that, where when you change something like that, it might affect your channel. Okay, so I think this is the right thing here. Let me see. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's it. All right, so you guys will see cycling stuff on here, okay? Because that's what the channel was all about before. I'm going to keep those videos up, but I'm going to start just adding to it. So let me go ahead and give you guys this link. So yeah, go over there. I'm going to work on a video tonight. I can't promise that I'll get it out tonight. That my goal is to get it out tonight. But yeah, go ahead and go over there, subscribe to the channel. It's called Remember in November, okay? A lot of people say that, remember in November, remember in November. So that's what we're going to call the channel, Remember in November. And it's about remembering to vote in November, because this is going to be a crucial election for a variety of different reasons. All the stuff that's been going on, it's definitely going to be crucial. And I think a lot of people are at the point now where they're looking at things and they're thinking, okay, I thought my government ran a lot smoother than it does. And we all have different people who we think are the main culprits, right? But a lot of people will agree, like, hey, what's going on? Our government is not running like it should be. And then, like I said, you look at other countries and you're like, what? They have this and they have that? Like, that's crazy. And then one more thing too, just to talk a little bit more about this $300 billion, wouldn't it be nice if we have this $300 billion and it's not going to be allocated for anything else? Wouldn't it be nice to get 2 stimulus checks? So $300 billion for one stimulus check, because that money is not being spent, right? And then in the stimulus package, have another stimulus check in there. So maybe pay us one now, and then one, even if it's right before the election, one right before the election, right? Wouldn't that be nice? They're not even talking about that. Like, hey, we have an extra $300 billion. Why don't we have reoccurring, at least 2 reoccurring checks? So $1,200 on 1 month, and then $1,200 a couple months later. That would be nice, right? So, like I said, we have to see where this money's coming from. But when it comes down to it, we'll see where it's going. All right, guys. Any last questions? Let me post this link one more time. So check that out. I'm hoping that that's actually pulling it up, because I pulled it up from my side. So I'm hoping it pulls it up. But just go over there if you guys can. Subscribe to that channel, and then I'm going to start putting out some content when it comes to that. I do want to talk. Excuse me. I do want to talk about the veterans thing. So I want to go more into that whole story, and then show you some of the polls now, because those polls could change because of this topic. And so that's kind of how we're gonna that's how the show is going to be. I'm going to look at the current events. We're going to talk a little bit about those current events, and then we're going to look at the numbers, the poll numbers, and see if they're showing any different when it comes down to it. Okay. All right, guys. Any other questions? We're going to move on down. If you guys don't have any questions in the next 2 minutes, and we'll go ahead and we'll end this live stream, and then we're going to go over to the membership live stream. We did hit 1,000. Thank you guys very much for the 1,000 likes. Really appreciate that. So yeah, we'll go over to the members only live stream, and we'll do that. We'll probably be on there maybe 15, 20 minutes, or in 10 minutes we'll be over there, and then we'll talk for maybe about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah, and then guys saying why not add that 300 billion to the 1.3? That would make sense. That sweetens the deal, right? That's 1.6, but that's over that's 1.6 trillion dollars instead of where they are right now. That would make sense. So we'll see what they do with it, where it's coming from. Like we need to know where the money comes from first, and then we can go from there. I did ask you a couple of questions, but I didn't see them today. I guess I hope. What are the questions, Jennifer? Your opinion on this at some point. What are the questions? If you can't ask them right now, then just come over to the membership live stream. We're going to be doing that in a second, right when we leave here, and then you can ask me there if you want. Okay. All right, guys. Okay. So thank you guys all for being here. Miss Happy Apple, thank you for being here. Dalai Lamas, thank you for being here. And Sherry, thank you for being here. So those are the moderators. They helped out with the show. Thank you guys all for your help. And let's see about unemployment. You got to be more specific. All right, Jennifer, if you have time, come over to the live stream in the members live stream, and then we can talk about it. Because if you guys see that I do not answer your question, and you put at TEC and I didn't answer it, then ask me again, but put the question in there. Say, hey, you didn't answer my question. Here's the question, and then give it to me again. That way I see it, because I'm not going to be able to work my way back up. There are just way too many questions and way too many comments on here for me to find out anything, or for me to find it. So are you doing any giveaways? You know what? I'm not right at the moment. I'm gonna get them started again. I actually like doing them, so I'm gonna I'm gonna start doing them again. I found $300 billion that I have laying around. I'm gonna yeah, no, seriously, yeah, I will start doing the giveaways again, because I do like doing those. But before I was doing them because it was a $1,200 stimulus check. I gave that stimulus check away, but now I'm gonna just start doing them. Maybe at least once a week. At least once a week I'll do one. So maybe right after, do it the same structure. I kind of liked how we did it right after the live stream. Then go over to the Discord and then do it like that. So now that you mention it, let's see. I will do one tomorrow. So I'll be coming on live tomorrow. Same time, 1 o'clock, and 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I'll be doing a giveaway after that show. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys a heads up. $50 giveaway. It's going to be in the Discord. If you do not have Cash App, sign up for Cash App now, because it's only going to be through Cash App. Okay? All right. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and take off. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for all your support. It really means the world to me. And let me set this up again. I have my little intro, outro thing that I don't have set up right now. Let's see. All right, guys. So we will talk tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. We're going to do a giveaway at the end of the show, or we're going to do a giveaway after the show's over tomorrow. Also, if you are a member, hang on 10 minutes. We're going to be over there doing a little talk in the membership group. All right, guys. Talk to you later.